Hello there, Parth Sharma this side, bringing you the chess classics. I'm looking at the match between Anatoly Karpov and Garry Kasparov from their 1984 World Chess Championship match. Now, the game that I'd be looking at was game number 47 and it was played in early 1985. The match between Anatoly Karpov and Garry Kasparov in 1984 was going on for 5 months, which outlasted everyone's expectation and even went on to early 1985. Karpov, who won his fifth game of the match in game 27, wasn't getting his desired sixth win for the last 19 games, whereas Kasparov, the challenger who secured his first win in game 32, was playing better chess, albeit very late, but still, the match wasn't over. After his win in game 32, the young superstar had his chances in games 36, game 40 and game 44, but somehow the nerves were getting better of him and he wasn't able to convert them. The question remained, is what's going to happen? Does Capo finish this match off here or the show rolls on? After a long series of 14 consecutive draws, we join the game 47 of the match. Karpov with white pieces and Kasparov with black. Karpov opens with one knight f3, again opting for the ready system. Kasparov replies with knight f6, c4, e6, d4, d5, knight c3, so-called Queen's Gambit declined position. And again, Kasparov can play Ragozin here, Ragozin variation of the Nimzo-Indian, but he opts for c6. So he's going for somewhat semi-Slav defense by this move c6. Nevertheless, bishop g5, knight b d7, e3, and he goes for this so-called Cambridge Springs variation of Queen's Gambit declined, which classically or traditionally favors white, but what it does, it brings the queen out and suddenly puts pressure on this knight with a simple threat of playing knight e4, attacking this knight and this bishop. And if bishop takes, then this knight can recapture, reinstating that threat. So c takes d5, knight takes d5, and queen d2. So surprisingly, Kasparov had this position with white pieces against Wesley Smyslov in their candidates match before the World Championship match, where Smyslov was black pieces and he played bishop b4 in this position, and Kasparov replied with rook c1. And in game 3 of their candidates match, Smyslov played castles, short castles, and game continued with bishop d3, e5, castles, e takes d4, e takes d4, f6, and Kasparov won a beautiful game there. And in game 9, after rook c1, Wesley Smyslov played e5, and Kasparov replied with a3, bishop d6, d takes, knight takes, knight takes, bishop e5, and Kasparov got a very solid edge in the position and eventually went on to win that game as well. So after queen d2, it was pretty evident that Karpov must have studied those two games, and Kasparov had a good position there, and Smyslov didn't with black pieces. But here Kasparov springs the surprise. Knight 7 b6, and this just takes Karpov back apart, because Karpov was taken aback, I should say, because he was really surprised by this move, and he takes a long time to make his next move, and that also renders to be inaccurate. Well, the possible way to play this position would have been to play bishop d3 here. This wasn't played in the game, but then black takes, b takes, And there was the game between Alexander Alekhine and Max Uwe from their 1935 World Championship match, game number 25, where Uwe played knight d5 and instead of castling, that would have been a better choice. Alekhine played rook c1 and didn't get a good position there because after knight c3, Alekhine found himself wanting after bishop b4. The simple move that Alekhine could have played would have been queen b2, knight d5, rook b1. The position, although has a lot of tension here, still level because this bishop here is caged by his own pawns. So this position would have been level. However, in this position, after bishop b4, Alekhine played a3 and somewhat he seemed a bit confused because after queen takes a3, rook a1, he tried to trap the queen, but queen wasn't going to be trapped. After queen b3, bishop c2, queen d5, white is 2 pawns down here and Uwe won a very good game there. So another try after bishop takes c3 in the variation is to play knight a4, and after rook c1, knight takes c3, the position really transposes into the same, but this time with a variant of knight here and here, and still the position would have been level after castles, and white would have a compensation in the form of this bishop being poorly placed. Of course, knight takes would meet by rook b1, rook a1, and the queen is pinned. Or even knight takes cannot be possible because the queen is pinned. And if queen takes, then you pick the knight. So this pawn is somewhat poisoned, can't be taken. So it's a good compensation. However, after knight 7 b6 by Kasparov, Karpov plays knight takes d5. This was played after taking a lot of time, and this offers a queen exchange, which was accepted. Queen takes, knight takes, and now recapturing the knight, developing the light square bishop, and after a5, Kasparov offers a draw, but this was as early as move 11 and Karpov didn't want to take it. The point of offering the draw was that it was quite evident that Karpov didn't deal with this position that well, and he somehow felt discomforted going into this line and almost falling into Kasparov's trap. But yeah, Karpov refuses the draw and plays a4 here. But this also has some drawbacks because now this pawn cannot challenge this bishop here, and there's no c pawn here either. So Kasparov taking a big heavy toll of this, plays bishop b4 himself. Excellent move indeed, taking positional advantage of black into full effect and exploiting this positional weakness because this a pawn cannot challenge this bishop anymore. Pawns cannot move backwards. If he had been on a3, then only the pawn could have challenged the bishop, and now this bishop sits very well on b4 square. And now king e2, since queens are off, try to put king into the center, but another variation that, and now Kasparov plays bishop g4. Another variation, as I was talking about, is to see what happens after black castles. Then comes knight b3, improving knight's position, that's very important. Rook e8, rook h to c1, knight d7. If this rook had moved here, then knight would have taken the pawn, so that's why the h rook came here. Bishop f4, knight f8, h3, and knight e6. The development of the queen's bishop is the main problem here, and although black's minor pieces look very active here, taking that bishop out may lose some time for black. So that's why Kasparov didn't opt for that and instead plays bishop g4 check. f3, good move. Bishop h5. And now h4. So Karpov is pushing his kingside pawns, and there are two possible ways for black to play this position. Let's have a look at the move bishop g6 here. So then comes e4, f6, bishop e3, d takes e, f takes e, long castle, h5, bishop f7, and this position can also be playable. And activating this rook, you will see this rook coming here. It would also have been a good position, although these two bishops, they look very powerful indeed, but they are in front of the pawns. And once if you see this knight coming here or here for that matter, the things will start looking very shaky for white. Although these rooks are connected, but they are also tied down defending these pawns. But after h4, Kasparov castled, which I thought wasn't a good move. I won't say it's a bad move, but it wasn't a good move because, well, queens aren't there, so may as well try to bring the king in between, just the way Karpov did. But nevertheless, the position isn't bad. g4, so attacking the bishop. Bishop comes to g6. b3 is trying to protect this pawn so that this rook can be freed from its protection. Bishop takes d3 check, king takes d3, rook f e8, activating the rook into the center. That's a good move. Rook a c1, and now c5. So black is trying to stake its claim into the center, and there are two possible ways to play this position. Let's have a look at the moves like d takes c5 here. Then comes knight d7, attacking the pawn. c6, b takes c6. Black is already in the pole position. Rook takes c6, not possible because of knight e5 forking and taking. So all in all, white is somewhat strategically lost in this position. So instead, after c5, Karpov plays bishop f4, rook a c8, d takes c5, and here another choice instead of dc5 would have been to play h5 here. Let's have a look at what happens after, let's say, h5 is played. Then comes rook c6, rook c2, and white bringing this rook here can put a lot of pressure on the c file, and it could be very uneasy for black there. Nevertheless, after rook a c8, Karpov takes knight d7, and white can defend this pawn by playing bishop d6, but then comes b6, c6, knight c5 check, bishop taking, bishop taking. That could have been a possible continuation, possibly better than what was played. And the move that was played after knight d7 was c6, and as we saw in the last game, playing c6 worked quite well, or probably in game 27 as we saw, this move worked quite well, but it doesn't work here. B takes c6, rook h to d1, knight c5 check, and here he could go to e2 in this position. Let's see what happens if he plays king e2 here. He played king c2 in this position. After king e2, knight e6, threatening this, exploiting the pin. King goes to f2, knight takes, e takes, and black can play a quiet move in this position, king f8, which places white in a tsutswang, where the white is already in a heap of trouble with c5 d4 coming, and this protected passed pawn right at Karpov's face is a monster indeed. After knight c5, understandably he plays king c2. Kasparov plays f6. Then comes knight f1, protecting this pawn and freeing this bishop, possibly intending to play knight g3 and knight here, try to bring this knight here, try to fork these rooks, and this knight on d6 would stand better, protected by the bishop. And nevertheless, great idea. Knight e6 attacks the bishop straight away, so bishop has to go back, bishop g3, rook e d8, and here a tempting move for white, thinking that it would dilute the position, would be to play bishop e1. Let's see what happens if black exchanges the bishops. Then rook e1 and d4, very strong indeed. If you take, then knight takes with check, and this pawn falls apart. So knight d2, d takes e, rook takes e, and then knight d4 check. And when black plays king c3, the position would have been almost equal, but black would have very good chances here, as white's moves aren't easy to make here. Very difficult. This rook has to defend, the knight is already defended. c5 may come here, protecting this knight here, standing there like a rock. It's a dream position. After bishop e1, if black plays rook b8, the intention is to recapture it with the rook. If bishop takes, rook d3, c5, rook c d1, h5, and after g takes h5, d4, black can easily pile on the pressure on this b3 pawn by breaking in the center, and black has a raging initiative here on the queen side. You can see this majority is absolutely redundant here, so that could have been another way to play the position. So in the game, Karpov plays bishop f2, practically good choice. Bishop e1, we saw two variations, wasn't serving him well. Then comes c5, and then comes knight d2. Now, strong move here wasn't c4, which was played in the game, but rather king f7. Another quiet move in the position, activating the king, as you should always do in the endgames. And after king b1, c4, pawns exchange, and then knight c5, c d5, bishop takes d, rook takes d, knight b3, rook d c2, knight takes c1. If rook takes c1 had happened, then knight takes d2 would have come with check. So still exchange. King takes c1, rook takes c2 check, king takes c2, and rook takes d5. One pawn for the exchange, not enough. The next move, h5 by black, will neutralize this majority attack on the king side, and the position is dead gone for white. That would have been another possibility, but in the game, Kasparov played c4, which isn't bad either. Probably another strong move. If b takes c, which happened in the game, knight c5 comes, and now e4, but a remarkable move in this position by Kasparov. d4, double exclaim. It's like a thorn in a flesh for white. This protected pass pawn by this rook, if sits on d3 here, protected by the knight, then this can become fatal for white in this position. And in my opinion, white is already lost here. Kasparov is having a raging initiative here with this passed d pawn. But the game is far from over until Karpov played knight b1, and this was a clear blunder. A simple move would have been to play rook a1. Let's have a look at the move rook a1 here. Then comes d3 check. Position is already hopeless, but still white would have had some life in this position. After king c1, king f7, rook a2, knight d7, f4, knight c5, rook e1, knight b7, possibly try to play here, attacking the this pawn and this pawn, e5, fe5, rook e5, bishop takes d2 check. Although white's position is pretty fragile here, this position would have been at least playable here. Yes, d3 pawn is a monster here, as I said, right at Karpov's face, but still white could have managed to hold on. But after d4, knight b1 is a big terrible misjudgment by Karpov, a huge error which loses immediately. After d3 check, king b2, d2, Karpov resigns the game, and it's 5-2. The match goes on. Kasparov is playing a fantastic chess since his loss in game 27. He had some opportunities, didn't pounce on them. As I said, in game 36, 40, 44, he had very tough positions. Even in game 6 of this match, which he lost, he had a great position, but he just couldn't able to convert it. So why did he resign? If rook c2, then knight d3 check picks the bishop. White has to give this rook up for the pawn because the knight would attack the rook, and it's already gone. So it came down to d2, and it was here that Karpov resigned the game. So score reads 5-2 after game 47, and this wasn't in 1984, this was in 1985. And I will come back with another game from this championship, and that would be game number 48. I think Kasparov would win that, but chances are that Karpov can wrap it up there. What happens in game 48? Does Kasparov win, or Karpov seals the match then and there? We'll find out in the next video. I hope you liked this one. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Cheers. Bye.